This Bridezilla bridesmaid story is going to shake you to your absolute core.
Only had an hour to do the bride. The mom does the same thing with the hairstylist. Of course, I'm fuming.
And I wasn't sure where the bridal suite or anything was, so I called her. I'm like, good morning, how are you? She's like, good.
And she kind of mocks the decision and says, oh, wow, yeah, I would never want to get married in June. I feel like it'll be too hot, blah, blah, blah.
I can't believe people act like this.
Okay, I want to show you guys something I've been like sitting on for like a month and a half now.
Spill
I'm
it.
just like not sure about making a video
We
about
have
this,
time
but
today.
I've just decided I'm going to block out locations and block out what group this was posted in. Let's begin. I am to be a bridesmaid in my friend's wedding, and I'm just wondering what you all think of these rules she has.
Oh, gosh.
Can't have any tattoos showing. If you do, you have to cover them or have them removed. I have a sleeve and tattoos on my back.
Oh, gosh.
Remove them. Hair has to be at least shoulder length or longer and cannot contain any colors that aren't natural looking. So essentially, if it's in the rainbow, don't have it. And if you don't think those two things are bad enough, just wait until I read the next part. Must attend 3 fitness classes weekly to look good in photos or work out at home or the gym. If we don't live in the same city, we must send pictures for proof. Must purchase the $300 bridesmaid dress, $100 shoes, and $200 jewelry selected by the bride. We have to attend the bachelorette party in Las Vegas, bridal shower, engagement party, bridesmaids luncheon, rehearsal dinner, which is the night before the wedding, and a post-wedding gathering 1 week after the wedding, which will be held in the exact location as the wedding, which is blank. I'm not going to say where it is. I'm not about to throw this poor girl under the bus. She's been through enough. The bride expects that each person will pay for themselves for all these events and also split the cost of her portion amongst the bridesmaids.
So she's not paying for anything?
She doesn't have to pay for anything.
Okay.
I know that as a bridesmaid, there are costs to be incurred and expected. However, I feel like these are too much. Other bridesmaids feel the same. Babe, if you are watching this, I promise you,
Leave.
we all feel the same. If you haven't already, run. If she's getting on like that now, pre-wedding, you do not want to stand for her.
Exactly.
Not only do you not want to stand for her, you should not want to be friends with a person like this.
I truly hope and pray that that type of friendship never finds me, okay? And for the husband, if they even got married, I hope you're okay. Blink 3 times and come on and let us know if you're still alive. Also, another thing, if you know, you know. She strikes me, I'm going to assume, as somebody that is more for the wedding part than she is for the marriage part. She's putting a lot of work in her wedding. There's nothing wrong with that. But at other people's expenses and with no consideration for people's pockets. So it's all about you. One day, now I had to remove my tattoos. I have to go to the fitness center. I have to do Z, X, Y for you. And I have to pay for you. I have to break my bank because we don't know the budget that other people have. $200 for one person might be a lot for the next person. And spending $200 in a jewelry set for one day for an event that's not even yours, and I'm sure even if it was yours, be considerate of other people, especially when it comes to their pockets.
Okay, for some reason, I just have connections all over the globe. So I have been sent an update. It also has been made aware in this specific group that I did post a TikTok. But it's fine. I don't think anyone's going to get in trouble. I didn't post...
You didn't post the names, girl. You didn't post the details.
The provinces of anything.
You didn't give us the full tea.
Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to expose anyone like that. Okay. So there's an update on the post. I'm going to share it with you now. I don't know when this update was posted, but someone went back, found it, and sent it to me. Okay. It says, update. The other bridesmaids and I spoke to the bride. We told her, you can't expect people to change their appearance for your wedding, so don't expect us to change our tattoos, hair color, or wait for your day. Most of us cannot afford to spend $500 plus on outfits and the additional money on all the different events and travel and time off. So you'll have to choose a significantly cheaper outfit. You better work. Like the total should be less than $200. We won't be able to make it to all the pre-wedding events, and we won't be able to stay in province that the wedding is being held in 1 week after the wedding. You get 1 day. People aren't going to stop their lives for your wedding. Lower your expectations. Then the bride said K.
My jaw was dropping in the very beginning of that second part because I missed the part where she wants them to stay an extra week after the wedding. Ma'am, don't you just have your honeymoon? Why are people there a week after your wedding? These type of people need to go outside. Y'all don't have to touch grass. Y'all need to lay in it and kiss it. Get your hands and put them down on the soil, all right? And touch the earth, for heaven's sake, please, because that is so inconsiderate. That is so conceited. And I'm sure she cares about nobody but herself. And the whole K, inconsiderate. Let's move on.
One of the most asked questions that I get as a wedding photographer from people who are not in the wedding industry is if I have ever had any bridezillas. I market to a specific type of person, so I don't really have any bridezillas. Okay. But you have a story about one of my very early on wedding days, and the bride and groom were wonderful. They were great, but it was the groom's grandmother and mother that were an issue. So apparently the groom's grandma had been doing photography on the side. And listen, she wasn't like super old. She was probably like upper 60s, maybe early 70s. And she had been doing photography and I guess taking like family photos, senior photos, all of that stuff. And she took their engagement photos too. And apparently she was super pissed that they did not ask her to photograph the wedding. I remember getting to the church right away in the morning and the bride and groom were not there yet. They were still getting ready at a salon or wherever they were at. And I remember someone walking around, and my husband was second shooting with me, and someone was walking around like taking photos of the church and like details. And I was like, who else is here? Like, did they hire someone else? I'm so confused. So we went up and talked to grandma. Didn't know it was grandma at the time, and she actually would not give me the wedding rings because she was like, you're gonna lose them if I give them to you. She also told me that she was gonna be standing at the front of the aisle when the bride was walking down, and there was nothing I could do about it. There were countless times throughout the day where she would step in front of my camera intentionally just so I couldn't get the shot so she could. And I don't think I ever really got a shot of her without a camera in her hand, which you think about it, like looking back on these memories, like she's just gonna have a camera in her hands or a camera up to her eye the entire wedding gallery. I guess the mother also was doing photography and wanted to help out and be the second shooter. So they were both pretty upset with the bride that they hired me instead of asking them to shoot the wedding day. My husband's charmer, so he actually kind of took care of them throughout the day. I avoided as much as possible because they were being super passive aggressive towards me. And by the end of the night, I had to take some breaks to like just step outside and get away from everything because I was getting so frustrated. I remember feeling I have never felt more unwelcome at a wedding than that one. So yeah, no real bridezillas, but that's probably my top story of someone with that type of attitude that I've had to deal with.
I guess it's safe to say if you are a photographer, decorator, wedding planner, whatever you are for the occasion at hand, if the bride is not a Zilla, then be warned because there's always a mama bear and a grandma bear that is most likely gonna be a Zilla. Hopefully not, but brace yourself. And all I can say is I feel so bad for the photographer because communication is truly key. The bride and the groom should have spoke to the mothers and told them. They probably did tell them and they're just stubborn. Never mind. They probably did tell them and they were like, okay, it's fine. We'll sit down for the wedding. And then when the wedding comes, they knew the bride and groom would be busy. So they start snapping their pictures. But there's a reason why they did not choose both of y'all to be the photographers. And I'm sorry, if you don't specialize in wedding photos, that is different from being a photographer. The shots you take as a photographer are so different from the shots a wedding photographer takes. Now, there can be a middle ground where somebody specializes in photography, but also specializes in wedding photos. I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. People make it so complicated, but it is very simple. And I would even add on to say the fact that the bride and groom had his mom and grandma be the photographers for the engagement, I think that was just a hush, like a hush shoot, if that's even a thing. Pretty much, you can have control and take photos of our engagements because I don't care for the engagement photos. However, when it comes to my wedding, I want a professional photographer, professional wedding photographer. Let's keep going.
In my whole 22 years of life, I have never witnessed a more insane mother of the bride than this woman. My friend, the bride, was like, I want to have a very chill wedding. I don't want it to be crazy. The mom is like, heck no, we're doing an over-the-top wedding because I never got one. Okay, Miss Thing.
Oh, God.
Okay, so we get to the wedding day, and at this point, the mom has planned this $50,000 extravagant event. Everyone's getting ready, and in walks this insane makeup artist. Customarily, the bride always goes first because hers is going to take the longest because she's supposed to be the most beautiful. No. This mom just sat down in the freaking chair first. The makeup artist had to spend so much time on her makeup, she only had an hour to do the bride. The mom does the same thing with the hairstylist. Of course, I'm fuming. Then it gets even worse. So we get to the ceremony, and for some reason, they have it set up. The family walks down, the bridesmaids walk down, then the mom walks down right before her daughter. Tell me why this mom is walking down the aisle right before her daughter. Like, what? So all the bridesmaids are just like standing at the end of the aisle. The officiant is like, all rise, which you're supposed to do for the bride. This mom starts walking down the aisle holding a bouquet of flowers.
No.
She was wearing a freaking wedding dress. Can we all agree that we as parents are gonna be better than this? That's it.
You know, it would have been fun if you just accidentally popped up a photo of the mother of the bride. My only question is why? Why are you, as a mother, offering to pay for your daughter's wedding because you never had an extravagant wedding and then ruining it for her? It was never about your daughter to begin with. There's my answer. It was all about you. And if you never had the wedding of your dreams, but now you can afford the wedding of your dreams, there's something called renewing your vows or an anniversary where you can go extravagant, invite all your friends, spend $50K on a wedding, do whatever you want. But the fact that you were selfish to take that away from your daughter and you have the spotlight, some mothers are twisted. Let's move on.
Let's do a get ready with me and talk about the worst and most
love your
expensive
hair.
wedding I've ever been a part of. And no, it wasn't expensive because it was really nice. It was expensive because the bride wanted her bridesmaids to pay for everything. I've been in, I think, 11 weddings now, and I've been maid of honor 4 out of those 11 times. So I'm no stranger to the occasional bridezilla moment. This was something special. This was also before I knew how to put up boundaries with myself and say no to people, and so that also played a big factor in it. Getting back, I absolutely wish that I had just told her, no, I don't want to be a bridesmaid, but I truly didn't know how bad it was until I was. This girl was your classic mean girl, like in real life, so I really shouldn't have been surprised, but it still just completely threw me off guard. It started before her now husband even proposed. I had been dating my now husband for a little bit longer than she had, like been dating her now husband, and we had been talking really seriously about marriage. I was never one who like planned out my entire wedding, but I was getting really excited about the dress. I found the dress I wanted and I was so excited about it. And so we were working together at a church at the time. And so I told her about it. She was like, oh my gosh, I want to see it. I pulled it up on my phone and I was like, yeah, I just like, I know it's simple, but I really love it. The look she gave me, she literally did the whole, well, I guess that's good for you, but I would never want something like that.
Oh,
the lace
gosh.
just looks like so grandma-y, and like, I just would never want something like that. I was a little hurt by that, but I was like, you know what? I don't care. Like, that's fine. Everyone
That's
just has
weird.
their own style. No
People
biggie.
weird.
Plus, again, I didn't know how to put up boundaries for myself, and so I was used to mean people like this
Yeah.
just being allowed to treat me like that.
Cut her
Her
off.
boyfriend had not yet proposed, but she was like, I'm ready to get the dress. I don't even care. I want to go dress shopping. And I was like, okay, I think that's weird, but like, have fun. Let me know what you get. Later that day, we're at church together, and she's like, oh my gosh, I got my dress. Do you want to see it? Yeah, of course. Remember the dress that I loved that she called matronly and thought it was so ugly? She bought that dress. I was stunned. I was like, oh, I didn't think you liked this. She was like, yeah, no, I've never really liked that style, but gosh, when I tried this on, it just looked so good on me. I like didn't know what to say, so I just like kept quiet and was like, okay, well, I'm really happy for you. And secretly, I was just like really hurt because I was like, oh, I feel like I can't get that dress now. Her boyfriend finally proposes, and this is where things start getting really great. My husband now
dress
and myself
before
were really close
engagement?
to this guy for years, and so we were so excited for him. We had our concerns,
Did I miss that? She got a dress before her engagement? If that doesn't sound crazy, I don't know what does.
but he seemed really happy. So when they asked us both to be in their bridal party, we were thrilled. I'm so sorry I never do this, but I'm gonna have to do a part 2.
Uh-oh. This is for all my ladies that don't have TikTok. I have the part 2 now. I've had tons of messages of women telling me that they don't have TikTok and they would love if I throw in the rest of the parts. So there you guys have it.
Okay, part 2 of the craziest and most expensive wedding I have ever been in. Recap, I showed her the wedding dress I would have loved to have. She mocked me for it and then bought it right from under me. I said nothing. I was really close to her, like, fiance at that time before I had been close to her, and so I was just excited for them. She starts talking to me about the date, and she's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what date we should have. And she asks me, like, do you have a date in mind? Because again, my boyfriend and I were talking pretty seriously about getting married. I mentioned that June either 21st or 22nd was probably going to be our date. I've always wanted to get married in June because of 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, and June 21st, 22nd is when we started dating, when we were in high school together, and I just thought that would be really sweet. Again, she kind of mocks the decision and says, oh, wow, yeah, I would never want to get married in June. Just, I feel like it'll be too hot, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I totally understand. You should pick whatever date you feel most comfortable with. We get our invites, and lo and behold, June 22nd. Again, super weird, and I don't know how to stick up for myself, so I was just like, okay, this is great. The dresses she wanted us all to buy, like, I don't mind paying for my own bridesmaid dress. They were more expensive than pretty much any other bridesmaid's dress I've ever bought. And they were giving everybody rashes, which her future sister-in-laws mentioned, like, hey, this might not be the greatest thing. Like, we've tried it on and gave us a rash. She doesn't budge and said it's fine. Everyone still get them. I've never minded. I've worn a lot of really ugly bridesmaids dresses, and I don't care because it's not my day, whatever. This one definitely hurt, and it was definitely bad. So then I just asked her about hair and makeup and like what, you know, if she has an idea for like hair or if she cares, whatever. She literally said, I want everyone to have their hair up because I want to have the prettiest hair on my wedding day. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's okay. But she kept harping on that, like she didn't want anyone to look beautiful on her wedding day, and I was like, okay. Then the bridal shower comes around, and she sends out this message to all of us saying, guys, I really don't understand why you haven't pitched in for this. I was like, oh, I didn't know we were supposed to. She created this whole sob story where she was having to pay for everything herself, and we're like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course, like we'll do whatever we can. Come to find out, her in-laws paid for the whole thing. They like threw her this amazing bridal shower, paid for all the food, all the decorations, all of the favors, all of the games, all of it. And I was like, I'm so confused why we like pitched in for this. So then she sends out another message saying like, guys, I'm having to pay for all of the wedding stuff myself. I can't afford any of it. By this point, I'm wising up and I'm like, and also I'm running out of money. So I was like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. I don't have anything more I can give you. She was pissed, but like, I didn't know what else to do. And later, she used all that money to just go on a little mini shopping spree for herself. And I'm so sorry to do this again, but I have to do a part 3.
See, I love TikTok story times, but all these parts, put it in one. TikTok, you can do the 10-minute video. 10 minutes. You can do 2 parts if you have to.
Okay, part 3 of the worst wedding I've ever been a part of. All right. Have paid for our entire outfits. We've paid now for her bridal shower, and now we've even paid for part of her wedding. None of which actually went to those things. She just wanted to be able to shop. Tells us up front that she expects us to have multiple presents for her bachelorette party and to provide food. I did because I didn't know what else to do. By this point, I've already spent way more than I ever have for any other wedding and any wedding since. And I'm like, okay, I am like literally out of money at this point. I have nothing more to give. The bachelorette party, like the week before, she says, oh, by the way, everyone needs to pay to get their hair and makeup done. I was like, I literally can't pay for that. She wanted very specific nails, hair, makeup, outfits. Like, I've spent so much money on this, like I can't spend any more. Pissed at me, but I was like, look, I promise, like my hair will still be up, like I can do everything you want me to do. The whole time getting ready the day of the wedding, she was just like in such a pissy mood. You'd never think this was her wedding day. You'd think she was like going off to war or something. It's June 22nd. The middle of the afternoon, so hot. Heels, which is totally fine. It was an outdoor wedding, and it was about a 2.5-hour ceremony. No shade or fans or anything. It was really rough. And this is where I personally think it just gets funny. This one I'm like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. We see one of her bridesmaids, I think it was her cousin, starting to like sway back and forth. And everyone's like, oh my God, like she's about to pass out. Some people who are in the front row, super smart, they're like, hey hun, like come sit down really quick, it'll be fine. This girl turns around in the middle of the ceremony and glares at her like the worst glare I've ever seen. We were all ready to pass out by the end of this. It was so uncomfortable. But afterwards, when we walk back, the bride literally pulls her cousin aside and starts screaming at her, talking about how she ruined her wedding. Why couldn't you just keep it together? This is my day. And I was like, I just can't anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. The toasts were really satisfying because it was... Sorry. so petty, dude. All the speeches were like, groom, like, you have made such an impact in my life. I'm so happy for you. Thank you for being the person you are. Then they'd be like, and bride, well, I never really got along with you, but this guy's really great, so I hope you treat him well. It's like all of them were like that. Side note, I got so many compliments on my hair that day. I was like, thanks, I did it myself. All the bridesmaids were like, yeah, we kind of wish you had done our hair too. It was crazy. I don't talk to her anymore. Hopefully she's chilled out and whatever. Fortunately, I still love weddings, so that didn't dampen it for me.
I'm glad it didn't ruin your love for weddings. However, going through all that, I would have just, walked away, left the friendship, because that's just too much for someone like me. I love my peace. And if I have to do too much, now don't get me wrong, if it's your wedding, I'll do the most for you. But if you're like her, nah, I'm good. All right. I will be a guest at your wedding. I will make sure all your guests also are comfortable. I will even offer to be a caterer instead for your wedding, if it means getting out of all that mess. And when it's time for my speech, it will be nice. It will be professional, but you bet there will be a little bit of shade. Okay. Also, knowing me, I probably would have clocked her in the first disagreement, or her asking a question and then getting the same dress as me before she even gets married. It's a lot. She needs to calm down. She needs to do what? Take a nap. If you were here for yesterday's video, she needs to take a dang nap. Now, before we move on to another video, there is a bonus one.
And you shall receive. I'm gonna try and tag everyone that asked to see pictures, whether it was of my hair or the bridesmaid's dress or the wedding dress. But if I miss someone and you catch it, please tag them below. I had to reactivate my Facebook for this and go snooping. Goodness. So I hope it's worth it. Okay, first one is the wedding dress. This is the dress that I showed her, and she told me that it was so ugly and that she would never want to wear something like that, but like great that I wanted to. I remember just loving, it was so simple with the beading and the lace, and then I really love how it like gathered on the side and just kind of like picked up the lace and just showed the tulle off underneath. So yes, I was super sad that she got this, but this was my wedding dress and I love it. It was much more ball gowny than the other one, and it was my favorite. It was sort of this like champagne kind of color. It didn't have any beading, but it had this like beautiful silver and gold embroidery of like vines and leaves going up it. Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite movies, and this made me feel like Belle, so I was very, very happy. Next was hair, and I'm going to show you what the bridesmaids looked like before I show you what I did with mine. So this was one of the bridesmaids, and a lot of the hair looked a lot like this. It was just really big, and I thought it looked kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. Frankly, a lot of the bridesmaids did too. They didn't love how it turned out. Couldn't find the best pictures of my hair, but here's one of them. Remember, I didn't pay for it because I couldn't afford it, but I told her I will do my very best. Here's a picture of the back. I did like a side kind of messy bun with a lot of loose curls and things like that. Finally, the bridesmaid's dress. This is my now husband. He was my boyfriend at the time. I will say my dress looked so much better than anyone else's because it was so uncomfortable. It still gave me a rash, but I took it to a seamstress who did a phenomenal job. I wanted to post some of the other ones to like show you the difference, but it felt kind of weird to do that without people's permission, and I didn't want to like block out everyone's faces. So just take my word for it that this was very frumpy and it hurt like all get out. I replied to one comment because they were like, you should have accidentally like spilled wine all over her dress or something. The irony is somebody spilled red wine all over my dress, which I didn't care because I was never going to wear this dress again. And I literally chucked it out the window as I was driving away. I just want to thank everybody for validating me so much, because as I was telling the story yesterday, first of all, I did not plan for it to be 3 parts. I truly forgot how bad it was. So when I was looking through the pictures, I was remembering so many other things that she had done. And I was like, gosh, these pictures are so fake. Whatever, it's over, and I'm very thankful not to be in that situation anymore.
I guess by saying you're glad you're not in that situation anymore, I'm gonna assume you mean also that you're no longer friends with her. And if that's the case, good, because you sound like a sweetheart. The person who said you should have thrown wine accidentally, you're petty. But I'm not mad at that idea. I wouldn't do it. I don't think I have that much heart. Is it heart? No, it's not heart, because that's like the opposite. I don't think I have that much gut to ruin somebody's wedding, even though they've ruined my mood. I just walk away, save myself a headache, and give myself more peace. That is my life.
Story time on my worst bride ever. Hi, I'm Julie. I'm a South Florida makeup artist, if you didn't know, and I've been doing makeup for over 5 years now. And
a
I've
long
had my
time.
fair share of brides. I do want to mention that literally 99% of the time I have the best parties and bridal parties ever, but this one...
She was special.
So it all started when we were texting about the information for the wedding, and I already had a weird vibe because she was being super dry, and usually brides are super excited. She also messaged me 2 months before her wedding, and that is super last minute, but I was available, so I took it. Then about a week before the wedding, instead of 9 girls that she said that she only had 7. And I was like, okay, I'm still gonna block my entire day for that because that's a lot of glam. I think you can see where this is going.
No, but keep going.
I asked her for the address because she had never sent it to me, and this was the day before. Again, super dry. The day finally comes, and I was bringing my assistant because I had a lot of glam and not so much time. She decided to let me know the day before that we only had 4 hours for 7 people. So I show up the day of, and I thought the directions were kind of self-explanatory because all she did was send me the address. So I get there, and I wasn't sure where the bridal suite or anything was, so I called her. I'm like, good morning, how are you? She's like, good. Someone's almost there. And I was like, okay, maybe she's just tired, it's early in the morning. I unpack my car and I get inside, and I'm literally just standing there because I don't know where anything is, and there's no employees there. And then somebody shows up. It happened to be the bride, but I didn't know it was her. And when I tell you, she was literally just standing there, and I was like, hi, how are you? Do you know where the bridal suite is? She's like, I'm waiting for the key. I was like, okay. And I was ready to complain to the establishment because I thought she worked there. So then she follows us to the bridal suite and then just sits down in the chair. When I tell you, the room was silent. You could hear a pin drop, and I was like, okay. So I was like, oh, are you the bridesmaid? Are you the sister? She's like, I'm the bride. So my assistant and I look at each other and we're like, we're in for it today.
Yeah.
So as we're setting up, she is literally just staring at us, and it was so silent, it was so awkward. So I was like, oh, can you put some music on? To my assistant, go to part 2.
No! I didn't even know there's a part 2 on this one. Golly.
Story time
And
on
we're
the
back.
worst bride ever. This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, check it out. But I'm Julie, and I'm a South Florida makeup artist, and 99% of the time I have a great experience, but this one was interesting. So I have my assistant put on music because
it's awkward.
It was so awkward. Because we were trying to make small talk, and she was just short answering us the entire time. Mind you, I'm used to having a million girls in a room. They're like, you want some champagne? You want this? You want that? No, she was just like this. So anyways, I start to glam her, even though I like to do the bride towards the end. She didn't listen to any of my instructions, but oh well. Again, trying to make small talk. Nothing's there. It's literally me, my assistant, and her, and that's it. I was getting close to finishing her makeup, and I was like, okay, the next girl needs to come. We're on a time crunch. Like, I'm doing 7 girls, and I only have 4 hours. And then she goes, oh, don't worry. You're only doing 5 people. When I tell you, I definitely learned from this mistake. I didn't have a contract then, so yeah. And I was like, oh, I was expecting 7 people. That's why I brought my assistant. I still have to pay her. And, you know, I'm expecting a certain amount of money here. Like, this is my job. And I was like, all right, whatever. I guess even if I had 5 people, it would take most of the day anyways. So the next person comes, it's fine. There's a little bit of a language barrier, which is fine, but they didn't even come with pictures, which made it super complicated because they were super picky at the same time. It's okay to be picky because I'm picky, but if you're picky and there's a language barrier, I need some kind of photo. So I end up doing the makeup. Everyone's kind of fine. They're just a little bit picky. And then I sit down and I'm waiting for the second to last person, as I thought. So as I'm waiting, and I'm waiting like 15 minutes, and I'm like, hey, we're on a time crunch. Where's the next person? I'm not going to be able to finish on time. And she goes, oh, you only have 1 person. So we're only doing 4 people today. The other girl decided to get her makeup done at the hair salon instead. When I tell you, I tried not to flip a switch because I literally just wanted to get out of there. But then the one person that didn't want their makeup done was asking me to do winged liner and eyelashes, and no, unless you're gonna pay me. This is my job, J-O-B. The girl had a problem with paying, but anyways, the mom of the bride comes, again, language barrier, very picky, has a mirror in front of her face the entire time, is so picky, and criticizing everything in another language.
Oh,
and then I
gosh.
finished, and then I ran out of there and blocked all their numbers.
As you should. Now, she didn't provide enough context with the bride, but was it an arranged marriage? Is that why she was upset? Did she wake up on the wrong side of bed and realize, oh crap, it's my wedding? Does she not want to marry the guy? Lord knows what is happening, but the miscommunication, unprofessionalism, as in the client being unprofessional with the provider of a service, is really just exhausting at this point. Okay, this is totally random from what this video is about, but I need to get it off my chest. Am I the only person who can engage in certain movies? I'm talking about when I watch a movie, when I go to the cinema and watch a movie, I already know where the movie's gonna go. As in, like, everybody knows, like, oh yeah, you can assume what the ending is, but I know what the next shot is gonna look like. It almost scares me, and it takes the fun out of watching movies, sometimes even TikToks, because I don't know. Is it just me? It cannot just be me.
This Bridezilla bridesmaid story is going to shake you to your absolute core. When
Okay,
you hear
we're ready.
what I read today, you
Okay.
are going to throw up in your mouth. As you all well know by now, I'm getting married in October.
Congratulations.
What do brides do? They band together in Facebook groups and help sell each other.
Yes.
So there is a New Jersey bride group that I'm part of on Facebook, and everybody gives tips and tricks and vendors and all that stuff on there. And for the most part, it can be pretty positive. There is some toxicity in there. I try to stay away from it. Judgment about how much money you're supposed to spend on this and that and whatever. This story literally rocked my world. So basically, there was a girl who posted on there anonymously, because you can post anonymous. And she said, I was a bridesmaid in my very close friend's wedding. I was recently diagnosed with cancer and I've been undergoing chemo. Sometimes the chemo affects me so bad that I have a hard time getting out of bed. So I respectfully reached out to the bride to step down as a bridesmaid because I didn't want to hinder her big day. That seems like a perfectly normal thing to do.
Yeah.
To me. So she tells the bride, you can keep all of the money for the shower, for the bachelorette party, for the hair and makeup, for my dress. Every penny I've contributed you can keep, because I don't want you to have to worry about money this close to your wedding, but I just don't feel comfortable. I can't. I'm just not myself.
That's a great friend.
Probably the most courageous and respectful thing I've ever heard of a human being doing. So what does the bride say? She doesn't respond. Goes on Instagram and crops this girl out of every photo that she's in. Every picture they have together is taken down, and every photo that she's in, she crops her and the girl's sister out. This poor woman goes, did I do the wrong thing by stepping down? You should see the comments, dude. You should see the comments. People are in the comments like, I wish you didn't post this anonymously so we could find out who this is. Like, what kind of disgusting human being tells someone, or doesn't even say anything, but what kind of disgusting human being gets angry with someone for stepping down from their wedding because they have cancer? I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around this. And then to go a step further, not respond, and then remove all evidence of this person existing in your life because they made the courageous decision to step down. Do you know how hard it probably was for that person? I have a friend who thought about stepping down just because of her financial obligations and not being able to afford to be in the wedding. And she was brave enough to come to me and say, hey, I don't want to take away from your day, but I don't know if I can contribute X, Y, and Z. And this person has been my best friend since preschool. So what did I say to her? Don't worry about it. I got you. I can't believe people act like this.
So I'll give you an even better one. So I had a job that I worked. I won't say the name, but let's just say when people came in, they would always talk to me about their issues. And there was one guy in particular, I almost said his name. So this guy was married, not at the time, like he got a divorce, but every time he came in, you would swear he's living life as if his life is going to end today. He lives for the moment, always happy, always giggly, all just fantastic, okay? And as I got to know him, like when customers come in, you get to know them anyway. So one day we were just having conversations like I do with all my customers, and he was telling me his problems, and I guess it slipped out because he got comfortable, and he told me that the reason why I'm always happy and bubbly and all this stuff is because I had cancer and I won cancer. Like I fought the battle and I won. And the reason I am stronger than I was before is because my wife actually left me when she found out I had cancer. Hearing this story isn't crazy to me because I've heard a story like that. And there are other stories of people. That was just the first one I thought of when she was talking about this, where a person has gotten ill and their spouse just leaves them. So the whole in sickness and in health, they're only there for the healthy, okay? Anyway, that is where I'm gonna leave the video. I'm gonna leave it on this note because I wanna make sure that you guys know, just appreciate life, appreciate every day that you have. And as somebody that almost lost their life, that was a crazy story. I have it on my testimony if you're interested. But as somebody life is too short, and people like that make me sick.